role models. We all need them. And for me, we all have the responsibility to be one. Think of how we can impact our children, or communities, or families, or friends, or organizations. And yet, I have a lot of people telling me, where are they? Where are the role models? And then I say, what do you mean, where are the role models? There are so many amazing women around. So how can it be that you don't find them? And so one of the things I've been doing, and I'm so, so happy to be here again with you, is creating this platform, the Authentic Leadership Roadshow, where I introduce amazing women. You can listen, you can watch, you can be inspired, encouraged by women that have a vision, a mission, and a story to tell. And so I am thrilled today to be here with Kirsten Westholter. She is a serial entrepreneur driven by a hunger for growth. In 2016, she made the bold move to relocate from Amsterdam to Dubai to embark on new ventures. And as the founder of KW Transformations, Kirsten helps organizations unlock their diversity potential. Through Trade Mission, she brings together global stakeholders. As a G100 country chair, Kirsten advocates for women's empowerment with vision and tenacity. Her award-winning poetry shows creativity and passion for self-expression. An international success story, Kirsten proves the power of proactive risk-taking and reinvention. She finds purpose in cultivating inclusive communities and breaking down barriers. Kirsten is a role model for smart, ambitious women seeking lives of impact and adventure. No way she could not be here on this platform. Welcome, Kirsten. I am so happy to have you here.
Thank you for the invitation, Helena, and what a wonderful introduction.
But you deserve it. Receive it and own it. This is one of the first things that I say also with women clients that I work with in my coaching practice is that own your successes, own what you have done, because we tend to put it aside. Oh, it's normal, it's not important. So, how do you look at owning your successes and owning your achievements and talk about them?
It's interesting that you started with that. I don't think it is normal or whatever. I still often do think like that. And for me, it is still very normal to do a lot of things in parallel. It's where I get my energy from. And in that way, like also when you define what is a success, I have the feeling a success is something else for me compared to maybe self or people who are listening right now. What it means for me is that at the end of the day, I'm happy what I've achieved. It does mean that I'm looking to inspire other people as well. But if it's only one person who I helped during the day or during a certain period, I'm actually already happy, and it feels like serving a certain purpose.
Yeah, beautiful. Tell us a little bit more about what does your day look like, or what does your week look like, and how do you help people?
Weeks can be very different. And for the last couple of months, I have been working in Saudi, in Riyadh, not so much on a culture transformation project, but more in an improvement project. Their weeks would be like fairly the same. That is also where I'm very enthusiastic at the moment, again, to be back in Dubai. And my weeks are very different. I do like to have different conversations during the day. And what I usually do is also look for new connections. These can be either via LinkedIn or being introduced to new people, and always with a kind of spirit, is there something we can do together, or is there something I can help you with? Often you see the same spirit on the other side, because I think we also attract the same type of people. Furthermore, apart from these discussions, of course, there's work. Currently, I am in a situation that I'm a little bit in between certain projects. Of course, I'm looking for different things. I'm looking for options to expand my activities for KW transformations. And maybe interesting to mention, KW, of course, stands for Kirsten Westholter, very like easy to understand, but also the K for knowledge and the W for wisdom. And
Whoa.
these are, it's a bit more profound. And this is also something I'm looking for on a day-to-day basis. My ideal day is also where I can combine different activities, either connecting people, connecting businesses, which is also part of my activities, and ideally also at least a bit of supporting people or maybe something of giving back to community.
Mm. Yeah. Why is it that you do what you do? What is your mission? What is your purpose?
Good question. My mission is actually to inspire others to also maybe step back. My big thing is actually, I call it my theme, die with memories, not dreams.
Hmm.
And I believe in making memories. And I also believe in if you really want something, you can achieve it, no matter which challenges, obstacles, etc. I think we all have these obstacles and challenges. And also things that were maybe difficult for me would have been fairly easy to someone else, and vice versa. But I do believe that in the end of the day, we can all make it if we start believing in ourselves as well
Mhm.
and are dedicated to follow a certain path. And yes, it will be difficult, and we need certain resilience to move on. It hasn't been easy for me either. Only I do believe that if certain challenges or certain things happen in your life, as they do, you do have a choice. And you have the choice to accept these in the sense that, yes, it is not nice that these things are happening. It is tough, but there are other ways, there are other roads.
Mm.
Another option is, I call it the victim. Okay, this always happens to me. Why doesn't this go better, etc.? And my own choice, and I always hope that other people make the same choice as well. And I'm always happy to help there, or inspire, that's the better word, is to make indeed that choice to go for your own dream and to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you say, Kirsten. To me, this is about self-actualization, about really becoming the women that we are here to be and have an impact and make this world a better place than it was before we came here. And I see that a lot of women don't really know how to do that because
Mhm.
there's so many things going on and there's so many demands and so many challenges and so many people and other things they want to take care of. And like taking care of yourself and of your own dreams is like at the bottom of your priority list. And this is a very important thing to shift and to change. And that's also why I like to bring women to the stage that do it differently. And when you say yes, this is my mission to be who I am and fully live and fully also bring my gifts to the world and support others and be like a source of inspiration. This is something that you do. This is something that I try to do. This is something that a lot of women try to do. And I would love to see everybody doing that.
Me too.
Of course, we don't all have to go to Dubai from Amsterdam because these are very bold moves. But there's the little steps, the little moves that really bring you to another stage and to another stage. And step by step, you can make this impact and you can make this change. I would really love to know 2016, you
Mhm.
relocate from Amsterdam to Dubai. This is not relocating from Amsterdam to Brussels or from Amsterdam to London. This is from Amsterdam to Dubai. Right
Yes.
now, you chose to work in Saudi Arabia. This is such a different world, different culture, different way also to interact with women, things like that. So, what is it that gives you the grit and the courage to do this? What mindset do you have or have you developed in order to make these bold moves?
First of all, I would say an unstoppable curiosity.
Hmm.
And that is
Love
an
that.
important one. I already had that since I was a little kid. And I also always wanted to work in an international environment. I did it when I was in Amsterdam and working in international environments, in banks, etc. I think also a hunger for new cultures. What I also still remember being a kid, not even in Amsterdam, but long before in another part of the Netherlands, always being bored with what my parents, and in this case, it was my dad who cooked, prepared for meals. It was like all these Dutch things, the potatoes, piece of meat, and your vegetables. And then I heard other kids like eating Indonesian food and Chinese, Italian. And I started to venture out a little bit. I have never really traveled up till I was 16. I think it was 16 that I went to France for the first time of my life. I have never seen a plane prior to that. And also then it was not a flight. So keep that in mind, that curiosity, but also something like I need to have something bigger, something
Mm.
different,
Yeah.
something whatever. In 2015, and that is the link with Dubai, I already started to work here. That was coincidentally, I was working for a small consultancy back in the Netherlands, and we got an assignment in Dubai. So that was my first interaction with, I call it a melting pot of cultures. I always thought that Amsterdam was a melting pot of cultures. I learned so much more here. I
Yeah.
always thought I was flexible and understood people very well until I came here.
Hmm.
And I'm still learning every day about parts of culture. The reason why I'm mentioning that as well is we have more than 100 different nationalities here. And of course, a lot of Westerners, but also people from India, Pakistan, from, of course, Muslim countries or the neighboring countries. And each one of them bring their own specific culture, habits, and how wonderful is it if you're able to already get into conversations. It doesn't even have to be at work, it can be on the street. I like to talk to taxi drivers, for instance. I have
Mm.
the most wonderful stories there, and listen to them, and vice versa. There's so much to learn there.
Yeah. I love that. I also believe that curiosity is very much linked to empathy. If you have a curious mind, you have an open mind and you ask questions instead of having judgments or saying, yeah, no, this is not the black and white and the linear thing. I think curiosity is such an important mindset to develop. But they also allow empathy, understanding why other people do other things. And especially if you are traveling or if you are moving to another country or if you are working in a very international environment, it is so important to stay curious, to stay open, and not to think that we know everything or that the world as we know it is the only world and the only reality. That's beautiful. Yeah.
No, exactly. And I also think, in addition to that, a lot of people still think that indeed their world is the world and it should be like that.
Yes.
And it really doesn't work. I think it wouldn't work anywhere, but definitely here that doesn't work. And as just giving you an example, I think in parts of Europe, but definitely in the US, we are used to doing very fast business. And usually people are on time, but also very quickly to the point. We want to do business. Let's like do this and this.
Mm.
It usually doesn't work like that in this region. Sometimes you do need to have a number of meetings, really building that personal connection. At the moment you would focus on pushing it, you will lose your clients.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that. Absolutely. I have another question for you. I love this KW transformations reference to knowledge and wisdom. How do you define wisdom?
Ooh, that is a very also profound question,
Mm.
because I do believe that there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, wisdom is also about being able to transfer your knowledge and to communicate knowledge,
Mm.
not
Yeah.
keep it with you,
Hmm.
and interacting on like in different fields with other people, and indeed ensure that people also learn. And in the end, I would say wisdom, not so much, no, definitely not for your own gain, but really to give and to
Mm.
make this world, I would say, a better place. And that is also, for instance, the link to the G100 organization, a volunteering organization. I'm the country chair for a wing. And this is not a coincidence, but it's called the Oneness and Wisdom Wing, all
Yeah.
about this topic as well.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, it's a very interesting layer. To me, also, wisdom is something that comes from within, that is connected also with your heart and with intuition and with a lot more than what you can Google or that what you can get from AI nowadays. For me, wisdom is something that we always have access to if we allow ourselves, if we find this access. And I think that having access to our own wisdom in order to be able to share it. And that is so beautifully put, Kirsten, needs also an energy and a space of peace and of presence. Yeah, I see because I believe that there's so much information, so there's so much knowledge available that
Yeah.
it is impossible for us as humans to grasp everything. And what we always can grasp and what we always have access to is wisdom. And
Yeah.
especially the way you put it also, that wisdom basically is in the interaction, is in the learning, is in the teaching. I love that. I love that. And I can only imagine then that this wing in the G100 is for women empowerment a very important and relevant thing to bring. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And also, maybe as an explanation, yes, the G100 is about women's empowerment, but we can't do that without our allies. And for me, but also for the whole organization, and for me also in all my other activities around, for instance, women's empowerment and gender equality, it is about working together. It is about men and women, and it's not being about, I would say, being better than the other. No, we do this together and we are in
Hmm.
this together. And I really hope, and that is also something I've been writing about last week during International Women's Day, that there will, I hopefully, there will be a future that we are not going to talk about that specific topic anymore, but it is a no-brainer. We are equal. Unfortunately, we're not there yet.
Hmm.
But what we do need to do is take action and not don't stop with only talking. I'm definitely literally tired of talking.
Only talking because I do believe our voices are important. And then it is about, like you say, I love this, these finding the allies, building alliances, building co-creation and collaboration projects and things in order to change the system, to change what is going on. And of course, this is not a woman only thing. It is basically creating a better world is gender neutral, isn't it? It
Absolutely.
is about the qualities and the leadership elements that we bring into our activities
Yeah.
that need more harmony and integration. And it means that we also have to activate our male qualities and or masculine gifts, if we can call it like that, and that men are also allowed and able and find a space to do the same for their feminine gifts and qualities. And if we mix everything, then we will get somewhere where we can create space for everybody to join in empowerment. That is a very important thing. Yeah,
I couldn't
wonderful.
agree more.
Mm, wonderful. Another thing about this wisdom, what I would like to implement there is, and I'm pretty sure for your poetry, you are also accessing your inner wisdom in order to bring these beautiful words. I would like to invite you. Kirsten has a book published with her poetry, And she's also very generous, sharing her poetry on LinkedIn, probably on other platforms also, but I know that you are on LinkedIn. So this is an
Yes.
invitation for you listening or watching here to connect with Kirsten and watch her
Mm.
timeline, because she has an amazing poetry collection there already. So how do you access your wisdom in order to create these beautiful poems, Kirsten?
What you mentioned before is also the relationship with empathy. I am definitely someone who feels people around her.
Mm,
And sometimes, can you feel people too much? Sometimes you can, also, to be very honest, if it really gets too close. But it does inspire me to write and to write my poetry. Does
mm,
it mean for the people who would read my poems, and Helena, I know you do, it doesn't always mean that I've gone through that specific story or emotion, what I put on paper, but I listen to people. And
beautiful.
what happens is, and a few people are like telling me now as well, they say, oh, it's interesting. We met and we were talking about this and this topic. For instance, with a friend, I had been talking about emotional, like the vampires who eat your energy, the energy
Mm,
suckers. A day later, I published a poem about that specific topic. Why do I do that? And how does that work with the wisdom? Is I always have a lot of like tabs open here in my head. And it's a way for me also to deal with this world and to deal with all the aspects, being the good ones, the love, the beautiful things in nature, but also the things we rather not see,
mm,
war, types of destruction, destructive behavior within people,
mm.
people being very lonely. And I think by trying to put that on paper in words, I think, I hope actually, I help some people as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. You know that finding creative expression and basically also processing what is going on in your being and in the world, processing that through creativity. It can be poetry like you do, it can be painting, it can be art, it can be whatever that is different from what we normally do, that is really a creative expression of what is going on. I think that is so powerful, not only for us in order to process and sometimes to ventilate, to release things, to release energy, but also to inspire others. And
definitely.
I really believe, and I would like to invite the audience to do more of that, to look for ways to express ourselves. Remember when we were children, we did that all the time. And then life happens and all the responsibility come and all the engagements and the deadlines and things like that. And we don't find time anymore, not even just for journaling, to reflect and to process what is going on. And so this is an invitation to go back to these creative outbursts that you knew as a child, to take them back up, like Kirsten, like you do, and to also share them with others, because it's not only the processing and the creativity, but then being able or being bold enough or courageous enough to share them with others without being afraid that you are going to be judged or whatever. This is a beautiful gift to community, to the world. And I really am very grateful for this, Kirsten, because I love your poems and there are just shifting things in my reality because they bring a reality in a completely different way. And it's wonderful. It's just like paintings do, just whatever art does. This is a very important contribution. And also, that is a role model thing for many others that I would like to highlight here. Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And then it also means that it can be a conversation starter as well, or as I hope to see, a type of bridge builder between communities. And yes, this is
Mm,
poetry, but as you rightfully say, it can be something else as well, painting, music. But at the end of the day, look at all the different people in the world and also the cultures surrounding us. At the end of the day, they all have these types of expressions, because other cultures, they do have their poetry, maybe in a different way, maybe even in ways, or even in ways, if it's in another language, we might not understand. But I've been to evenings where people, for instance, were expressing their poetry in example in Hindi or in Arabic. Unfortunately, I still don't speak Arabic, a couple of words, yes, but definitely I can't fully follow it. Even if you don't understand the words, just listening to the rhythm or to the emotions and see the person, it's an instant connection. And that is also something we need if we want to call it touch the hearts of other people, but also to get closer to each other. We do have, at the end, we have a lot of similarities, and I hope we can focus on these instead of, oh, he or she has another religion, comes from another culture, doesn't look like me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Kirsten, I was mentioning in the introduction that you prove the power of proactive risk taking and reinvention. And these are positive and upbeat words. What have been your biggest struggles in your process to going to a foreign country, living in a very intercultural environment as a woman in an area where that is still very male dominated? What have been the struggles that you have been confronted with? Because we all have our struggles, we all have our things that we have to cope with. What were your main ones that might relate also to our audience?
Let me think about that. Of course, there's one thing I want to mention, that I don't see it that way, that where I live right now, that it's like super male dominated. To be also very clear, and I don't know what people who are listening to this know from this region as well, but Dubai, United Arab Emirates, yeah, definitely melting pot of people, but not a very, if you think about really a Muslim country, that is not the first, UAE is not the first country which comes to my mind, because it's even more Western.
It's the most accessible
Yeah.
country,
Saudi
absolutely. Yeah.
Arabia is a bit different, and yes, that is adapting. But going back to your question, I think first of all, the hurdle or the challenge was coming here indeed to United Arab Emirates. Why do I say that? Probably because of the background I was in. Yes, I was already used to traveling for my work, but I was in a relationship for, at that moment, 21 years with my partner, not married, but together. It was a big struggle to make a decision to actually leave. And of course, you feel like things were not how they maybe should be in a relationship, both sides, no anger or whatsoever. But I literally, and he must have had the same, but I had these questions in my head. Is this it? Am I just going to sit here in Amsterdam knowing how my life would look like every day? I decided no. And I also decided, how can it be that two people who are obviously not happy anymore stay together? But of course, it's a challenge. And it would have been easier for me maybe to say, well, I'm going to go to Germany or Belgium or whatever. No, I wanted to go far away. And that is probably the adventurous part in myself as well. And I had that dream. I'll make it. I want to be there. And I was attracted to this environment. So that was one thing. The other challenge, definitely business wise. And maybe also a lesson that I learned after a couple of years working as an employee here for a company. I decided to open my own business, my first one. And I was already in my early 40s. Doesn't matter, eh? Like we can do that at every age.
Absolutely.
But my lesson there was, I thought, like, Kirsten, you've been working with so many clients in the past. They were always positive. I did a lot of amazing things, good track record. Oh, I just start my own business and it will move. It didn't move.
Yeah.
Firstly, I learned the lesson that it's so important to first ensure your ecosystem, the collaborations, the people, and then make that step. It would have been so much easier. And the step I made afterwards was also moving into a direction, into a collaboration with a couple of people. And there it was way easier to thrive and to get it to the step where I am right now, not afraid anymore to do things on my own, having a good network. But how do you get that? Investing, and not money wise, but it's investing in yourself, in other people, and just building that.
Yeah, I like that. There we go again, alliances. Yeah, finding people, finding this supportive network. And what I see a lot of women do, they have a network. They even have a professional network. But what I rarely see is that they fully activate it because we're always like, I'm not going to bother this person. I'm not going to ask this. What if they don't want to? And then they have to say no and they don't feel fine. Basically, I come from that also. I thought that I had to manage my own stuff and be responsible for my own stuff. And if I wanted something, I had to go for it and do it myself. And then my life changed a lot the moment that I thought of, okay, I'm doing a lot for other people. I give a lot. And one day somebody told me, you know what, Helena, by not asking for help or assistance or for doing things together, basically you deny them the pleasure and the possibility to help you and to support you. And I say, yeah, actually, that is true. And finding this, building this mindset and this activation of co creation and collaboration is amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. And I must say, like a little bit of an addition to what you're saying, I learned that no is also an answer. And it's up to ask, because indeed, otherwise, how would people know? And beautiful things come out of it. And no, we don't like to hear, in general, people don't like to hear a no, but it doesn't mean that nothing will happen in the future. It doesn't mean the other person is not a good or a nice person. It may be just that specific thing is not happening, but we'll never know if we don't ask.
Exactly. We are too afraid for rejection. And I also think, and this is also research has shown that this is also something typical for women a lot more than for men. We take rejections personally. Instead of saying, okay, this no is about this project, this no is about this answer, or it is a not yet, or a no, not now, instead of feeling like, oh, this person is not doing, he doesn't or she doesn't value us, or we will not be able to co-create because of he doesn't think right of me, things like that. There's a big, again, internal voice, which is creating an internal glass ceiling in order to ask a question or make an offer, make a proposal. This is something that there's a lot of us that still can learn there in order to express clearly what we want or what we need and see where the yes is coming from. Yes, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up.
And isn't it the case that our own thoughts are our biggest enemies?
Absolutely.
That's
yeah,
how I see it.
absolutely. Yeah. My baseline in my coaching work with women is shattering your inner glass ceiling. It is about making these voices transform into more supportive and encouraging and engaging voices, because we can choose what we think. Yeah. We can choose what we think all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. But also there, I would say it does help to have that support system.
Absolutely.
And for also sometimes indeed someone else, and coach is of course brilliant in doing that, holding that mirror and also stating, hey, do you really think this? Like I have people around me as well, they say I can't do this or that, and I have something like, who says you can't? Did somebody else tell you?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. The biggest restrictions are in our heads. Absolutely. And we are not aware of it. Or
No,
we are
true.
too afraid to change things. That is another thing that even if it's painful, we prefer to stay in the same place because it's our comfort zone, because at least that we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see so many people that say, yeah, but if I don't know where I go, it is more painful than to stay where I am. Yeah. And that is a very interesting thing. Yeah. It's surely something that you don't have. It's also something that I don't have. But people, for me, real self-leadership is also about embracing paradoxes and embracing the unknown. And this
Yes.
is something that you obviously do, because if you start up a business, if you start up collaborations, there's so many things you don't know. And that's fine. They're
Yes.
there to explore and to
Yes.
discover, right?
No, absolutely. And in that sense, I also do see a change within myself. You've been mentioning, of course, that I come from the Netherlands. Here in the Netherlands, I was used to certain structure. I was
Hmm.
used also to, okay, if I do this now, then it will be this tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Even in your own social circles, like sitting there with your calendar and already putting in appointments for sometimes as bad as 2 months like later.
Yeah.
That is not how it works here. And
Mm.
in the Netherlands, I had that adversity to risk. So I was avoiding risk.
Hmm.
Now I can say I'm almost the opposite, but it
Yeah.
brings you so much more. And again, what is certain in life? Nothing
Yeah,
is. Oh,
absolutely.
yes,
It's also
some things
very
are, but
interesting.
Mhm.
It's also very interesting to define risk, uh, because we are talking about all these risks and potential dangers that also most of them are scripts in our head. And there are people who are living in life-threatening situations or in life-threatening countries where it's very dangerous to live in now. But most of the things that can happen to us are not life-threatening risks. Most of them are just discomforts because we don't know them, and we need to energize ourselves to be curious, to look at it and say, okay, what is this? How can this serve us? What does this learn us?
Yeah.
And this is again a different mindset to deal with the unknown, because what we do in I know a lot of people saying unknown equals risk. Who says that?
Yeah.
This is something in our head. Yeah. But
Absolutely.
we want this certainty. And I believe that certainty has been just completely disrupted by COVID. Yeah. Where everybody was in all the places. And since what I also see is that a lot of people are depleted and depressed and very low in action taking, very low in proactivity, because they don't know where they are anymore. And then this is also something that I like, and I see in you. Then our inner wisdom is our compass, is our
Yeah.
decision making compass. Then art, poetry is a ventilation in order to transform our uncertainties and questions into something that is materialized somehow. So I do believe that there's a lot that we can learn from each other, from your story, from what you're doing, from how you gave meaning to things and how you process things, that is very relevant and role modeling for our audience, for everybody here. So for you who are watching this and listening in, I would love you to take some time to reflect on this. Okay, what does this mean for me? How can I look different at things where I feel stuck, where I feel less proactive, where I feel at risk or unsafe? Is this a reality or is it the stories in my head? That's a very interesting question. Yeah.
No, definitely. And may I add something there?
Of
Because I
course,
think
that's why
that
you're
is a
here.
good
I want to
one.
hear you.
Something I also learned during the way or during my road. I think it's very important also to surround yourself with, doesn't have to be a lot of people, but your, call it your tribe, your like
Mhm.
small circle of, could be women only, could be a combination men, women. It's just up to you, of course. But always keep in mind, and that triggered me last year again, that look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Just write them down
Mhm.
and then look at them closely. And also think of like, how much energy do they give you? Also, are they in a similar situation as you are? Or maybe you're looking a little bit up to them, or they are where you want to be. If you don't have these latter, so the people that are there where you want to be and in that good energy, I would recommend to change something, because other people in the same situation, and doesn't again mean that they are not your friends, etc., but they hold you there. And that
Mm-hmm.
is a big thing I learned not even too long ago.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Be very intentional where you spend your time and your energy. And it doesn't mean that you have to break with a dear friend who is in a long-term depression. It means that you need to be also with other people in order to replenish, recharge, so you can support her. If you are in a circle of friends or a circle of in a company that, like you say, Kirsten, is only negative, is only deconnecting, then you have no other possibility than to do the same. And that is not where you want to go. It is not proactive. It is not changing anything. So I love that tip or that strategy. And for women, especially, since we are so caring, sometimes it is difficult. I'm not saying to let go of people who are in negativity, but it is difficult to just take a little bit of distance and say, okay, this is happening, but this is not my process. I can be there to support, but if it's going too far, I will advise them to look for professional support, because you are not the psychologist or the counselor or the therapist of your friend. You are her friend. You are not the therapist of your partner. You are his or her partner. It is very important. And at the same time, look at people that inspire you. And if you cannot be friends with them, then follow them. There's so many ways. Even this, the Authentic Leadership Roadshow, is a platform where you can be inspired. Look for people that inspire you. We can all do that. It is, again, it is a mindset shift to see who you can become. And get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody who is genuinely there and will support you in achieving what you want to achieve, and is not holding you back with judgment or with stories or with projecting their own fears on your life, because this is happening way too often. All of us that have been doing things that were a little bit away from the normal paths have got these experiences. What are you doing? Are you sure you can do that? Are you sure you can handle that? It's very risky. I wouldn't do that. Get away from these people. Not in terms of get them out of your life, but don't let them impact you. Don't let them influence you. Go for people who are wise, not go for your cheerleaders, for people that are supportive, inspiring, have done the same, or at least um, can manage that you do something differently.
I
Yeah,
love that. And also go through your own experiences and make those memories as well.
absolutely. That's what you're saying. Yes, we are back. Basically, it's the circle. Create memories, because that means that you have done things, that you have undertaken things, that you were proactive. That's a beautiful one. It's one to put on your bathroom mirror, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, I have a little tattoo with it, like literally
Whoa,
on my wrist. Yeah.
it's embodied. Beautiful.
Literally, yes.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Kirsten, last wise words from you. What is an advice that you would like to give to smart, conscious women, to women leaders, women entrepreneurs, future aspiring women leaders that are here in our audience?
I would keep it like very brief as well, but the key thing is definitely believe in yourself, and also go on your own journey and let nobody else tell you you must do this or you must do that or you can't do it. Figure it out yourself. And if path A doesn't work, I'm sure path B or C or even D works. You'll get there.
Beautiful. Go on your own journey. I think these are very beautiful and important, impactful closing words for this conversation. Thank you so much, Kirsten, for being here and for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge in order to transform lives. And thank you also to the ones to you listening in and watching this recording. I am sure that you have been inspired, and I'm sure that you are going also to start making memories and go your own journey and build alliances. These are amazing nudges. Kirsten, thank you so much for sharing them with us.
Thank you very much, Helena, for the invitation. This was fantastic.
Beautiful. Thanks. Take care, everybody. Bye.